Make sure you are checking out our YouTube channel. We are posting these classes to our YouTube channel. The only one we've I don't know what you call it, not made public is one of the team meetings we had. We started talking about passwords for our website, so we had to kind of make that one hidden, but we can still share it. So make sure you're checking out our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search Lantern Realty and Development. It'll be the one with NIP laws classes on foreclosures on it. We'll have a team meeting, the last meeting with our accountant. Mark Dalton was on there. Check that one out. And then last but not least, I will shut up, but I wanted to welcome Taylor McClure and Alexandria Bear to the team. They are new agents and they are on today. So welcome aboard, guys and gals.
Thank you.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So funny thing, Taylor's parents live in my neighborhood, and Taylor decided to drop door hangers off in our neighborhood. I got a little offended that somebody's marketing to my neighborhood, but I'm just kidding, Taylor. So I took the flyer and took the chance to call Taylor, and lo and behold, Taylor joined us. So it worked out for everybody. All right, anybody got any questions for us before we turn it over to our vendor and to our appraiser?
Actually,
right.
I do have one. I'm
Sure.
sorry. When you said submit your dots, I had just thought back to that. What did you mean by that?
Taylor, when you get, you should have access to Dotloop already. Did you get that email?
Yeah, I did. I logged in.
Okay, so when you get your next transaction, you're going to upload your files into Dotloop. We call them loops. And then you will submit those to compliance, which is Paula.
Okay.
Paula will check them. That's what we're talking about. That way we just make sure everybody, you're getting everything filled out correctly and you've got all the forms that you need.
Awesome. Okay, sounds good.
All right. Anybody else got any questions?
Hey, Chris, this is Terry.
Hey, man.
Not a question, but just a point to make sure everybody saw this in the last 2 weeks. The conventional loan limit went up again this year for next year. So conventional loan limit was $510,400. It's going to $548,250. And that also increases the FHA loan limit. The FHA was at $331 this year. It's going to $356,362. So we got a little more clearance for FHA purposes, but also for conventional loans, got a little easier, a little bit higher limit on those as well.
Terry, is that the one that's done by county, the FHA?
It is, yeah. FHA is by county. It's somewhat by region, pretty much the whole Charlotte area, you know, Union County down into Fort Mill, all of those pretty much stay at the 356. Wake County and Raleigh and around Johnston County, those areas are a little bit higher than Charlotte, but it is by county.
Okay. All right. Well, you got the floor, man. You got anything for us?
I mean, that's pretty much it. That's the big news for the day. Rates are great. I mean, we're locking people left and right, 2.5 to 2.75 on 30-year fixed. So it's a great time to, you know, to purchase and refi. So it's hard for people to complain about rates when they're getting rates below 3% right and left.
Any guidance on what next year is going to hold for us? What's the Fed said on rates? Or
to me, it's hard to say, but I feel like either way, they have to keep them low. At this point, the government has held rates low since what, probably 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So for a brief instant, about 2 years ago, we hit 5% for a few days, and you could almost instantly feel things start to slow down. I feel like they've held them low so long, they're going to have to keep them low because the housing, you know, market is such an overall part of the, you know, the overall economy. So I see rates staying low. I mean, I don't know that they'll be 2.5% low, but you know, we can sell houses at 4.5%. I don't see them going over what, you know, that mark might be.
I saw an article from National Association of Realtors that said their guidance has been 9% increase on resales for next year. So they have to be including no rate increase in that number, or I don't think they would project that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I have people all the time that ask me, you know, if now is a good time to buy because they worry about the prices of the homes, but I really don't see the price of homes going down in the area. I mean, there's too many people moving to Charlotte for one thing. I mean, the inventory is not growing. You guys are what, a month on the inventory right now?
Now, I just looked at numbers yesterday for Cabarrus County. It's 0.6 months, so literally 2 weeks of inventory.
Wow.
So, that the same article from NAR, I read a local one from NCAR said the growth for North Carolina is going to be just under 12.5%. So we're going to have to be turning them somehow. So it's going to lean on a lot of new construction. And
renovation loans are coming back a lot too. I've gotten a lot of requests for renovation loans, probably because what's out there is, you know, needing some work. It's stuff that people probably wouldn't have looked at 6 to 12 months ago, but due to the shortage, you know, they're finding what they can. So.
Any questions for Terry while we got him? And Terry, we appreciate you joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you guys for the invite.
Yep.
Everybody take care. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, buddy. You too. Matthew Young, are you around?
Yes, sir. I am here, Chris. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man. Doing well. Hope you are. Floor is yours, my friend.
I appreciate you. Guys, as your home and auto insurance specialist, what I wanted to talk to you about today was a call I got from an agent yesterday, and I called him to keep him in the loop. I'm a big believer in communication, keeping you posted, especially as developments that may present a challenge for you in the transaction. So this agent had referred the client to me, and I called him to give him a tip that the claims, 3 claims have been filed on that property. And I said, you know, just as an FYI, that may pose a problem because that property that your client is looking to purchase had 3 claims filed against it, and also a claim that they filed on their own previous home. So we're looking at cumulatively 4 claims. And he said, oh, I didn't know that claims on the previous residence can impact. And they absolutely can and will and do impact. So that's why I'm an advocate of when we run quotes. My philosophy is this, is that when your client goes under contract, that's why it's imperative to get them in touch with us up front, so we can go ahead and run all the numbers, run the, make sure the ratios are good as far as the cost and to go with the loan. But most importantly, to make sure that if there's any claims that were not disclosed, we find those. And the time to do that is not, you know, 2 days before closing, of course. And some people wait that long. And so I'm a big believer in connect your client with my office, my team early in the game. And so we can determine this. I get calls from agents pretty frequently. Hey, Matthew, can you run a claims report on 123 Main Street? And sure, we could do that. But the problem with doing that is that we forget to remember to look at the claims history on the client. So in this case, it's an algorithm, the way they kind of interact. It's like a formula. And so the claim that had been filed by the client on his previous residence really was made much more impactful because of the 3 claims on the home he's looking to purchase. So as always, that's why I'm available 7 days per week until 10 p.m. for you guys, is to call me, to text me, to reach out with problems, with questions, with concerns. When your client is looking at your home and they say, my cousin said that he had a home with polybutylene piping and he couldn't get insurance on it. Well, the reason is because maybe his carrier he works with represents one insurance company. We represent numerous insurance companies. So we essentially act similar to a broker, but we don't charge fees for that. And that's another trend in the market we're seeing. I was in Wilmington working with a lender yesterday, and he went on to tell me that we were discussing some of what we call the new franchises. The new franchises, their motto is sell them and forget them. And so what would happen is I told him that this company that I was speaking of actually is renowned for coming in and saying, you know what, we're going to charge fees to purchase policies in addition to the cost of the insurance premium. And so what happens is that the client pays $100, $150, up to $200 as an additional added fee to purchase a policy, and the rate is no lower than what, for example, I could provide that for. And then they use that to say, this is your fee to be your agent for life. Well, the funny thing is the same companies that do these shenanigans, they then, when you need service, they don't let you call them. They say you need to call an 800 number. So you're basically paying, $100 to $200 perhaps for the privilege of calling a call center. And so we want to rescue your client from that experience. A couple other things that we're seeing. I was in Myrtle Beach the other day, and I met with a loan officer there, and he had shared with me that he had a couple of clients that he wanted me to reach out to. He wasn't sure what they were going to do for insurance, and so I called one of them, and he said, well, yeah, he said, I already work with Geico, so this is the perfect natural fit. So in reality, without that loan officer or real estate agent's intervention, the client would have went to an online perhaps portal, an 800 number portal, to where they don't have a direct personal representative like my team and I, who's accessible 7 days a week until 10 p.m. In addition, our rates normally are substantially lower than the rates that they obtain through the other channels. And the benefit, again, is that when somebody has a tree on their house, they have somebody to come to. So guys, in 20 years of experience, I've worked in the business for almost 20 years now, had my own agency for 15. And I see day in, day out, guys, where so much frustration can be eliminated from your loan officer and your real estate agent role if you would just engage insurance up front. And so the bottom line, your client's going to have insurance. Who are they going to use? They can use anybody. You can let them just go their own merry way. But I don't know one person on the call that would say to your client, oh, go get your mortgage and let me know how it turns out. You want to make sure you get them in touch with Terry and whomever to make sure that they're protected, that they're done right. And the same thing is with insurance, right? So there's really no difference. So if you guys, when you have a client go under contract, just tell them, say, hey, I want to make sure you're protected. I'm going to take something off your plate. Let me have Matthew reach out to you and then shoot me a message. I will add an update, guys. Many of your clients, when you refer, they do not end up making it to me, rather. They call 800 numbers, internet. They go to other Geico offices, guys, which are not your partner in this situation. So I would urge you, especially as Geico is opening more offices, new office, that the process to refer, please embrace, say, hey, Mr. Client, I'm having Matthew call you, because again, what you guys may not realize, your clients are ending up with somebody that you're not intending to. And that's just what I'm here to help, again, provide that unparalleled level of support and resourcefulness to you guys. I'll put my information in chat once more for especially the newer folks. Welcome aboard. And with that being said, I'll hang out for a second. If you guys have any questions you want to send over on chat, if you think of it like me in 4 or 5 or 10 hours, call me, text me, guys. I'm here for you on call until 10 p.m. 7 days a week. So with that being said, thank you, Chris, so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Matthew, real quick. I've just looked up an article. I've been seeing some information on about homeowners insurance rates being raised August 21. Can you give us some insight on that? I mean, that looks like a pretty substantial increase.
Speak to the specifics. I know that we saw a 25% proposed increase, and I can speak to that. To be candid, I thought I had addressed this with you guys, but if I have not, I'll be happy to. It's a very informative little tidbit. What did you see about August?
I'm just reading an article. It says Insurance Commissioner Mike Causey announced today. This was November the 10th.
Okay.
The North Carolina Rate Bureau has requested a 24.5% statewide average increase in homeowners insurance rates to take effect August of 2021.
Right. Okay. Got it. So I thought I'd address that. So let me do that real quick. So essentially, the Rate Bureau is a kind of like a consortium of insurance companies. Now, you'll find that when it comes to the rates that insurance companies across the board charge, like even with our partners, there's a substantial variance in the rates our own partners charge for an average client. And of course, the service level. Most insurance companies aren't available until 10 p.m. 7 days a week. But the biggest thing, guys, is that most consumers think insurance is all the same. That's the biggest misconception we fight on a chronic basis. And in this point, there's one time that is true to a small degree, and that's that the insurance industry does band together in some respects to try to work with the state. Now, that's where the similarities begin and end. So the Rate Bureau is kind of like a joint association of the insurance companies, if you will, and they act as a lobbying or bargaining tool with the state. So the commissioner, or normally what happens is the Rate Bureau always asks for a substantial increase historically, and we're talking about 18 to 20, 25%. And then of course, the commissioner, as is his apparent, job to look out for us as consumers, negotiates and fights for us to get down to a 5% increase or maybe a 2% decrease. But what I want you to be aware of is that rate is a sticker price. That rate is like asking price. So in today's market with real estate, do you see homes going above sticker? Absolutely. In some other markets in the previous past, obviously homes are normally not going for list price, right? It's the same situation with us. Insurance companies will ultimately discount and surcharge where they want to get where they want to be to charge rates. That's why companies charge $4,400 for insurance policies that we sell for less than half of that, for like $2,000. That's why folks come to us routinely. Their rate with their large national carriers, $2,400. We get them at $12,000, and that's not, unfortunately, unusual. It is fortunately for us because we typically are pretty favorable with the client. But to the point, to answer your question, Chris, there is some substance to that. But again, at the end of the day, it just emboldens the philosophy that your clients need to shop and don't just say, hey, Taylor, I'm going to my car insurance carrier, and that's where I begin and end. As a reminder, and I got a call a couple of weeks ago, I think since we've been on a call, guys, to hear a client who had a $40,000 sewage backup claim call me and tell me that the policy she bought online only included $5,000 of coverage, so therefore she's got to pay out $35,000. To hear the despair in her voice about doing this before Christmas with 2 young children, guys, it was pretty sad to hear. And unfortunately, when she had to work with my team, we would have provided her with $25,000 water backup. You see, that's one of our additional measures, is that we don't ask your client, do you want this to protect yourself? We say, this is what we're providing, because we find that about 100% of our clients, when we want to sell them a policy, they don't want to increase any coverage. But we find 100% when they have a $40,000 sewer backup claim are relieved to find out that we have provided a $25,000 limit as opposed to $5,000. I would urge you to grab your own policies, review them, and of course, again, call me if you have questions. But if you have no water backup added, or you have only $5,000, if you have a $20,000, $15,000, or $30,000 claim, and we pay those out pretty routinely, you have to ask yourself, are you going to be happy to pay that out of your own pocket? Would your clients be happy to pay their own pocket? So guys, this is not about you guys or me or your lender partners. It's about making sure your client is protected as adequately as we can. And that's what, when your client is in my hands, that's what is going to be happen. Now, we're not perfect. We're not going to always, be everybody's cup of tea. We're not going to walk on water, but I promise you, it is our utmost goal to make sure that there's no unforeseen problems that crop up. Like, for example, a super high deductible. We see folks coming to us that have these super high deductibles that they didn't know they had. I had a lender in High Point about 3 months ago. She found out that she got a $6,000 deductible when she had a windstorm, and she didn't know she did. But does anybody want to hazard a guess as to where she bought her policy with a $6,000 deductible? She bought it online. So anyway, to that being point, I hope that's I know it's a little bit long answer, Chris, but I hope that is of value.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Anybody else have any questions for Matthew? And we're going to get over to Leslie, our appraiser. Any questions? All right, Leslie, you are up. Leslie is with Avanti Appraisals. I hope I got that right. Leslie, are you there?
There, I'm there. Sorry, I had to get it so I could do *6 and then mute
No.
myself.
No problem. Just want to introduce Leslie real quick. Again, she's with Avanti Appraisals. I ran into her recently with the new construction appraisals. She did a phenomenal job. And of course, I had to have everything in yesterday. So she did a great job. And I know we had seen a lot of questions recently about appraisers. So I wanted to, I thought it'd be a good time to get her on board and kind of explain what she does. And then if you had any questions. So Leslie, with that being said, it's all yours.
Great. Okay. Right now, I cover Rowan, Iredell, and Cabarrus County. That being said, I know that a lot of people on the call do other counties, and I'm more than happy to answer questions in the future. You know, you can get my contact info, and if you have appraisal questions, you can always call me. Just to make it clear, a lot of times agents are afraid of talking to talk to appraisers. We're kind of apparently the bad guys. We can talk about anything except for value with you guys. So and I do have to qualify this. Appraisers are all individuals, and so some of us are more willing to talk than others, but I'm always happy to talk. So if you have questions, or if you have something that you want to make sure that the appraiser knows about the property, feel free to reach out and tell them. I mean, I always appreciate any information that that I get from agents. So what appraisers do is not a home inspection. So I'm a big fan of home inspections, that not necessarily for new construction, but for your older houses, just to protect your clients. But when I go in and I do my inspection, if there's like big holes in the walls or in the floor, of course I'm going to notice that. But I am not going to test all of the mechanicals and everything else and make sure that everything's perfect in that house. I'm looking at overall condition, effective age, which means that if you have a house that was built in '78 and somebody's gone through and totally updated the entire house, then it has a lower effective age than a house that is just, original. Something that realtors can do that really helps appraisers is to have accurate measurements of the house in the MLS. Whether you hire one of these companies that come out and measure the houses, county records are not always accurate, and it sometimes causes a lot of problems and confusion. So if you want to protect your clients, whether it be buyer or seller, it's always nice to know exactly how big the house is. You only want to count above grade living space. So screened porches, garages, that kind of stuff is not included in the main square footage. Same thing with below grade. Now, the houses like split level, we're required to, anything that is even partially below grade has to go on a different line. But if the market, accepts it as being above grade and we can have other sales that have it, then we can use it. Let's see, the difference with, I'm an FHA appraiser. I'm not a VA appraiser. VA is pretty similar to FHA. So if you have a borrower that's going to go FHA or VA, make sure all the utilities are on before the appraiser goes out, because we have to check that. Make sure there's no peeling paint. You want no wood-earth contact on any part of the house, porches, decks, or outbuildings. So make sure that your seller has, has fixed all that before the appraiser comes out. Otherwise, we have to do it subject to, and then we have to make another trip, and it just delays everything. Handrails, you've got to have more than 3 steps or more than 48 inches. You need to have handrails on porches and any stairways outside. Let's see. I'm just kind of like looking through all this stuff. The difference between manufactured homes and modulars. Manufactured homes are on steel I-beam supports. Modulars, they're brought in and they're assembled, and they're on. Once they're assembled, it's kind of difficult to tell if they're a stick-built or a modular. And so please don't call a manufactured a modular, because it's a different animal. And if you are selling manufactured, make sure that there's a HUD tag attached to the outside of each section. If there's not, then you're going to have to order them, and it's always a good idea to do that before you get down to the point where you're trying to get the appraisal done and the financing complete. That's all the notes that I wrote down. Do people have questions and something that you guys want me to talk about?
Hey, Leslie, this is Chris. I got a question an agent sent to me who wasn't going to be able to be here. Her question was, if there's enough comps in the preferred area and time frame, do you tend to use comps further out but same time frame, or further back but the same area? Does that make sense?
That does. It kind of depends. If you have a stable market, going back in time, it isn't much of an issue. And it also depends on the subject. If where your property is somewhat unique, then I would rather go back in time and look at properties that are located near the subject. If you have something that there are other neighborhoods that have similar appeal, and you have things that are, similar houses that have sold recently, then I would use that. The other thing that I would also do is probably do a little bit of both, to just try to demonstrate. I mean, if there have been no sales in your neighborhood, then, and it's because there's no listing, which that apparently is what's been happening lately, is that there are neighborhoods that people really want to live in, but nobody's selling. So in situations like that, I will try to throw in, the most recent sale in that neighborhood of a similar house, but then you got to use what people, what's available right now and what people are buying. I know that was not very clear, but.
Thank you very much for that.
Sure.
Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, Leslie, I have a question. You had mentioned that in the manufactured homes to make sure that the HUD plate is on the outside, but what if it's like inside a closet? Do we still have to order an additional one for the exterior?
Yes. The sticker that's inside is really helpful from an appraisal standpoint, because it has, it has all the serial numbers and everything. But especially FHA, they want that metal plate on the outside of each section.
Okay.
And you can order them if they're missing. But yeah, you do. Those are more important. The inside tag, a lot of times people paint over it or remove it or whatever, and that's not as big a deal. But the HUD tags on the outside need to be there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Anybody got any questions?
Anybody want to vent about appraisal?
Paula, I know you're around. Paula Sievert's going to stay incognito, it looks like. I know she has had an issue with an appraiser, but anybody got any questions? Go ahead, Paula. I see your mic's unmuted now. Anybody else got any questions?
Hey guys. Hey.
Hey, Paula.
Hey.
You there? Well, I thought she was going to talk, but it looks like she went back on mute. Anybody else got any questions for Leslie in the meantime? This is a good time to ask and to understand an appraiser. Thankfully, I've not had to understand them. Now, Leslie, I will ask you one question. I've had to contest a couple of appraisals. What's the best method of having any success to doing that?
The only way that we can like reconsider anything is if there are sales that you think are more that are better comparable, and you submit them to the lender submits them to the AMC, and then they submit them to us. And so as an appraiser, it's very frustrating when I have somebody resubmit sales that it's like they just kind of went as far as price point. You know, they're like, okay, we want to hit this number, and they give them that one. If you truly know of sales that you think are, you know, more similar than, you know, whatever the appraiser used, you know, and you know, like pick out the top 3 or 5. Don't do 20, because then we just like hate you. You know, and then, you know, look at them. I mean, there's times when, you know, I mean, we're human and we miss things. Also, I mean, if you're the listing agent, you know, you probably had things that you based your list price on. And so that's always a good place to start. And, you know, and so then, you know, but you want things that are, you know, similar in size, similar in condition, you know, and so that, you know, that I'm going to say, yeah, that's fine. Also, I never know how much, if they show you guys the entire report or just the bottom line. But it's also a little frustrating when it comes back and the sales that I've been asked to reconsider were in my report, because then, you know, it's like, great, they only looked at the bottom. And please believe, I mean, and I think this is most appraisers, you know, we're not trying to kill any deal. I mean, but we have to, you know, we have to use the sales data out there to support whatever value we come in at. And basically, you know, we're putting our license on the line every single time. And so I mean, especially on purchases, the fact that you have a signed contract from somebody, I mean, that in itself.
Hay razones para que el Appraiser cambie.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, that in itself carries some weight. I mean, I definitely, you know, do. And so the way my process is that I don't look at the sales contract that they give us until after I'm done at the very end. And then if my value differs from the contract, then I mean, I like go back over the whole thing again and see if I missed something. Because I don't want to, you know, if somebody's going to pay X amount and I'm coming in, you know, $25,000 less, you know, I'm going to go back through and say, okay, what am I missing? You know, sometimes I did miss things. Other times you know, I'm not sure what the people are thinking.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Let's say that the appraiser come to us with one specific price. Is it possible this price can change, this appraisal can change if any circumstances in the house arise? Like, let's say that we have 3 bedrooms and we have a bonus and we decide to add a closet to that bonus and make it 4 bedroom. Will the appraiser price will change?
Probably not. I don't see, I have not seen a big market reaction to the fact that if you have that additional room with a closet or without a closet. What's going to change value is, you know, updating floor coverings, updating, you know, bathrooms, kitchens. But typically, unless you have, as long as you have more than 1 bedroom, your value is more determined by your gross living area. So, you know, if you have 3 bedrooms and a bonus room, or 4 bedrooms, I don't see a huge difference in market, you know, in the market data supporting a different value.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Hey, Leslie, I got a question. Jessica, did you have one?
Yeah, but you go ahead.
No, well, my question, the only run-in I had with an appraiser, Leslie, was back in, I think, 2016, and I had a house listed as a 4-bedroom, and I hope this is not what Chino just asked you, but I was chasing my child around. I had it was listed as a 4-bed, 2.5 bath. The 4th bedroom was a bonus room with a closet that was being used as a bedroom. The appraiser marked it as I want to say like a living area or family room. That's what it was. He marked it as a family room, so he only marked it as a 3-bedroom. And my appraisal came in, I think, $20,000 under sales price. If we have a bedroom or a bonus room that is being used as a bedroom, what's the best way to guarantee that it gets counted as a bedroom?
For me personally, whether or not it's counted as a bedroom isn't going to change your value. But if you know, if it kind of depends on, you know, on how, like, I'm not sure why the appraiser considered it a family room as opposed to a bedroom if it had a closet, unless it, as far as the access. I mean, if it's totally open on one side so that you can't close the door, then it, you know, functionally it's not quite as much a bedroom as, you know, as a regular bedroom, or if you access it through another room. But you know, I will tell you that whether like for me, if it's a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, I'm not going to make an adjustment for bedroom count. I'm only gonna make an adjustment for square footage.
So really, total square footage matters more than bedrooms to you.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. At least that's what, you know. That's what the market data has, you know, is showing me. Now that being said, I mean, if you're in an area where everything is 3 bedrooms or above, and you have a 2-bedroom house, then, you know, there might be, you know, a hit for functional utility, but then typically you have, you know, I mean, you have sales that you can use instead.
Okay.
And that's the other thing is that a lot of times, if as an appraiser, if we haven't gone into the houses personally, if you call it a 4-bedroom and I'm an appraiser that's going to use it as a comp, I don't know that, you know, that the other appraiser called it a family room. I mean, I'm going to take your word for it because, you know, you guys are the ones that are in the house and that are marketing it, and I'm going to call it a 4-bedroom. Also, I've done a lot of work in rural areas, and so in areas where there's like septic tanks and everything else, and a lot of times things are just approved as a 3-bedroom because of the septic, and you get into the house and it truly has 5 bedrooms, but they call it a 3-bedroom house because that's all the septic is approved for. And once again, the market doesn't care. The market just wants to know how big the house is and, you know, what the functional utility is.
And I have a question. Hey, this is Paula. Sorry, guys. I'm at home today, and I'm out in the middle of the woods, so my internet connection is horrible. But hopefully, I'm not buffering too bad. So I'll tell you an instance that I had that I ran across last month. Some of the lake houses have basements. Well, they're counting a bedroom in a basement that does not have access or egress, basically no windows, no doors. And I thought that you had to have an egress in order to count it as a bedroom. So as your point of view, how do you guys count that?
Yeah, I mean, in order for it to technically be a bedroom, it has to have egress. You're correct. And so, you know, I would call it a bonus room, and then it depends on how your market deals with basements. I don't know whether they're daylight basements or full basements, but I would not, you know, I wouldn't include that in the bedroom count at all. But once again, it's, you know, it's how the market perceives it. And so, you know, even though technically they're not supposed to use it as a bedroom, if they're using it as a bedroom and you know, your buyers are looking at it as a bedroom, then, you know, as the appraiser, I wouldn't put it as a bedroom, but that doesn't mean that, you know.
Okay,
thank you. That answered your question. Yeah.
Yes, it did. That's what I was thinking, that if it was my listing, I would have not accounted it as a bedroom.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times, I mean, it comes down to, you know, it's a safety issue, which is, that's the reason that, you know, that technically if you have a room that people couldn't escape from, and, you know, in a fire or whatever, they shouldn't be sleeping in there.
So I don't know if you had went over this or not. The difference between FHA and VA appraisals versus conventional. Can you hit on that just a little bit? I don't know if that would be more of a Terry question, but I do know if it's an FHA or a VA appraisal, that does attach to the property for 4 months, and that's a material fact. And I don't know if some of the agents are aware of some of the stipulations that you guys put on an appraisal for a VA or an FHA. So I didn't know if you had time maybe to hit on that, because we see a lot of VA and FHA loans.
Yes. Oh, that's okay. So, one, all the utilities have to be on. So make sure that the power and the water and the gas and everything is on when we come out, because it's very frustrating as an appraiser that you get out there and there's no power. And so then you have to make, you have to make another trip. We also have to have access to the attic and crawl space. We have to do a head and shoulders inspection and take a picture, which, always seems a little bit ridiculous to me, because I always tell people that, when I crawl up on a ladder and I look in the attic, I mean, unless there's like, huge amount of mold or a big hole in the roof, I'm not, an expert, but we do have to do that. And no peeling paint. So if there's any peeling paint, you want it scraped and repainted and all the paint chips picked up, especially pre-76, but it just needs to make sure there's no peeling paint. No word of contact, and that includes outbuildings. I've run into that where you know, you have kind of an old storage building that's still very functional, but it's been there for so long and the dirt has built up and it's, you know, it's up against the sides, and that's got to be, you know, dug out and removed. And if there's rotten wood, it needs to be replaced. But otherwise, you just need to, you know, get a shovel and dig it out. And then handrails on steps. It's all about, you know, health and safety as far as, you know, they're concerned. Both VA and FHA, I think kind of the thought process is that they want a house that these people are going to move into, usually with a really low down, that they're not going to have to do any repairs or, you know, have any issues with, at least, you know, at the beginning. And so if you have decks that are a little bit unstable, please, like, fix the board. You know, and that's one of the things that I have seen, not as much recently, maybe because people are fixing stuff up, but you know, you have houses that need some TLC, and you have a buyer that doesn't have a lot of money, and you try to get it to go FHA or VA, and then the appraiser is the bad guy because we start calling for all these repairs that, you know, the buyer can't afford and the seller doesn't want to do. So if you can do the stuff ahead of time before you get to that point, it makes everything go smoother. Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. Thank
Sure.
you for your
Yes.
time.
Yeah, thank you. Leslie, in addition to that FHA and VA that she was asking, the siding on these, the vinyl siding on the homes, if they have punctures, like holes on the vinyl siding, is that a requirement for the VA and FHA?
If there's just a few small holes, it's not a huge deal, at least to me.
Okay.
But if there's, you know, if there's significant damage, then you probably should repair it. I mean, you know, I've seen some where it kind of looks like rocks from when people were mowing, and there'll be, you know, a couple of holes that are, you know, quarter size or a little bit bigger. That's not a big deal, but it goes back to, you want to make sure that the house itself is protected. So if it's damaged to the point that same thing with the roof. I mean, if there's missing shingles, you know, get those repaired before the appraiser comes out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we got time for maybe one more question with Leslie. I did put her contact information in the chat box. If anybody needs an appraiser for anything, give her a call. Anybody else got any questions? All right, Leslie, well, we appreciate it so much. We may have you back in several months.
Okay.
Give us a
Okay,
refresher.
Okay. In the meantime, anybody, you have my contact info. If anybody has any questions, just feel free to reach out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. All right. Hope you folks have a safe and happy holidays. Be safe, be careful, and we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye, guys. Have a
Any
Merry
questions?
Christmas. Y'all call
Any
us.
questions in the
if
meantime, let
anything.
us know.